I'm here with Jordan. We've just witnessed a very poor Arsenal performance that has seen us go out of the Carabao Cup, beaten 2-0 at Newcastle. Jordan, your immediate thoughts?
Very disappointing, but not overly surprising. What's disappointing is that you go from arguably your best performance and win of the season on Sunday to what was probably our worst tonight. What was also probably more disappointing was we spoke a lot about on the stream the transfer window and the lack of reinforcements, and I think that's linked to what's happened tonight. And as far as you've got 12, 13 players there that have been playing a lot of football for the past 6, 7, 8 weeks without being able to be rotated. We've got Saka out, Jesus out, you know about all that. But what for me was concerning was that you can say they were tired and not on it, fine. But even the professionalism for me from the kickoff, something wasn't quite right. Something wasn't right from kickoff. The touches amongst 5, 6, 7 players, all off. The passing, basic passes amongst 5, 6, 7, 8 players, all off. The runs made, losing all your second balls. These are things that aren't for me about necessarily quality. This is just, it's a semi-final of a Carabao Cup, second leg. You know what you got to do. Rather than playing amazingly well, get the basics right. And I felt from the kickoff, we didn't get the basics right. There was too many people running balls out of play. There was too many misplaced passes 2, 3 times in a row. Just the professional elements of being a football player for me were all off from the get-go, and that set the tone. And I think we've let Newcastle off the hook in the sense that they've gone through and deserve to go through. But did you ever feel like we ever really put it on them? I mean, the second half, we didn't have a shot on target.
Yeah, I've got to say, man, I'm kind of hovering between, was it nerves, was it tiredness, or is it that elephant in the room? Did we bottle it, Jordan?
I don't love the phrase bottle it. I mean, if by bottle it you mean did they just chuck it in? No. I just think there's players there that are running on empty, because there have been for a while, as I mentioned earlier on, combined with just a vibe that they were sent out today, and something wasn't quite right. And
the reason why I say that is because you're absolutely right. We started this game all over the place, a series of unforced errors. Some of our better players, and I don't like to call people out, but William Saliba, who I'm a massive fan of, by the way, I thought that's possibly his worst game I've seen in an Arsenal shirt. And there are others. Wow.
I would have subbed him. Yeah. Second half, I would have subbed him. And, you know, we all loved William Saliba. He very rarely puts in a poor performance. But when you're not only, he wasn't great today, but give him a pass. He was shocking. If any other player on the pitch is that bad, they're in subbing territory at the bare minimum, if not being subbed. He was awful today. But he was indicative of a handful of players for me.
Yeah, I was going to say, Thomas Partey, Leandro Trossard, Martin. Listen, I could go right through the team. Yeah. So that's why I'm saying it could be some tiredness in there. And don't forget, there's a massive game on Sunday, and the physical and mental effort that was required to get that win, it could have meant that left a few players a bit flat today, which for some of the fans is going to be inconceivable, because they're going to do the old thing. Oh, look, these guys, professional players, 200 grand a week, they should be able to cope with it. But listen, they are human beings. But there is a little bit of me, man, I can't, maybe it's because other fans from other teams have put that in my head, that it's kind of typical of Arsenal that here we are again, man. We failed at the final hurdle, or not even the final, the semi-final hurdle. There is going to be a lot of fans out there that are going to say, look, you lot gave it large on Sunday, but when it really mattered, you, for whatever reason, you weren't able to match it.
And we've got to hold that. We've just got to hold that, because it's not necessarily untrue. I'm not so worried about what other fans are going to say, because they may have a point. Fine.
I don't even think other fans, I mean some of our own fans. I'm thinking that, bro. I've got to admit, I'm kind of thinking that.
I think our inability to deal with pressure when it really matters has been a theme for, I think, pre-Arteta, to be fair. Yeah, there's a few FA Cup wins in there, for sure. But for a decade or more now, when it really gets on top, when it's really a chance to do something special, when you're really having to step up, we time after time after time drop the ball. I think as Arsenal fans now, we've got to now look at what, from here to the end of the season, constitutes a relatively acceptable season. Because I think the title's been gone for a while, in my opinion. We're out the FA Cup, out of the League Cup, and the Champions League, I just don't see us going too deep in that. So what now is a good season for Arsenal going forward? I would also question what the board are now doing to ensure that next season is a better season now. So are you doing the deals now? So by the time the season finishes, because there's a lot of work in terms of personnel, ins and outs, that need to be dealt with. They won't feel the season's a write-off, but the people that are meant to be projecting forward, we haven't got a sport director, but the people that are playing the next 2 or 3 years, they need to be thinking now, how do we ensure that by the time next season starts, we are ready and tooled to go again? Things like Saka. I personally would say to Saka, we'll see you in July. We'll see you in July. The boy's played a lot of football over the last 2 or 3 years for club and for country. He's had rehab, he's had surgery. The season's pretty much done. I would give him an extended period off. Let him rest properly. Let him come back, because he's got a World Cup next year as well. There's a lot of games for him. People like him, I would almost be planning now for next season, because this season for me, it's about how close can you get to Liverpool? Can you go as far as you can in Europe? Other than that, I don't see what really we can salvage from this season.
That's an interesting point of view. However, I would put it to you that a lot of the fans, especially the fans that turned up there tonight, shout out to them, by the way.
They want to see a performance week.
They want to see a performance weekend, and they're not going to want to see, in effect, the club give up on the title.
I'm not saying chuck it in. I'm just being realistic. The only thing we can win in terms of silverware is the Champions League. You give it your best. But if we can't even get a shot against Newcastle in the game, we need to score a goal. How are you going to beat Real Madrid? How are you going to beat the best teams in Europe? Do you know what I mean? And that's, we're running on empty now. The European Cup kicks back in a few weeks' time. So God knows how we're going to look in by the time that comes back in. So being realistic, I don't see us going too far in that. And even if we do, in the crucial moments, do we have the killers to take those big chances in big European games? I'm not sure we do. So I'm just saying, for me, my mind is in next season now, and making sure that you don't repeat the errors of last summer, next summer, by stocking up now, getting those deals done now. I think this summer has been a dereliction of duty in terms of scouting. Do the work now. By the time you get to May, June, July, done. Shirt. Hit the ground running. That'll be how I'll be moving.
When you say do the work, I mean, I kind of know where you're going from, but tell the people what you see the strategy should be.
Identify why you failed this season and aim to plug those holes. Scoring goals is not really a problem for Arsenal. It's scoring a certain type of goal in certain games is an issue for us. It's a killer in those moments. We saw Isaac today. This guy don't need 3-4 chances to score a goal. Now, there are not many Isaacs granted. I don't think you'll get him. But that's an area I'll be looking at now. We haven't got a backup goalkeeper. If Ray gets injured for 3 months on our next game, what are you going to do? Go and get a keeper there. We haven't got we're lacking in creativity. Odegaard's our chief creator, but I've never felt he's not really a playmaker in the sense of assists. He's the guy before the guy. He's probably 8, rather than a 10. These are the areas I'll be looking to identify now. Get those deals lined up now. Move like a big club. So by the time the summer comes, don't do your work in the summer. Summer should be about confirming, signing. The wage has been agreed, fees been agreed, it's all been lined up. Do that now. Because for me, there's not really much to play for now. The focus should be the next 2 seasons. Because Arteta, his record in cups is shocking. It's really, really bad. I don't want to get into the whole should he stay if they don't win a cup. But it'll get to a point in the next year or 2 if there's nothing in there where you think it's time to move on from him. So he's got to give himself the best possible chance of winning a cup or a trophy next season by having the armoury and the tools to start the season well, hit the ground running. Also, Man City, they'll be back. They'll be back next year. They won't be Arsenal, but they'll be back. So, in my opinion, I think we've got to do what we've got to do now to make sure that next season we're good.
Okay, Jordan, thank you very much for that interesting take. Appreciate it.
Cheers.